Watch Who?
Hello.
And welcome to Two Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Watching for the very first time.
Oh, I can't do that.
Oh,
I can't do that. Still got this cold.
very first time.
Thank you, Mark.
Welcome back, everybody. We're making our way through season 24 with the 7th Doctor.
I watched this on iPlayer because BritBox just isn't working. I think it's finishing soon. I cannot get on it. So I don't know what's going on with it. I can't even load it. I can't do anything. I tried on my phone. I tried on the thing. I just can't load. I don't know what's going on. So I did iPlayer. And then so I'm scrolling through trying to get to the correct season. And I was like, oh my gosh, we've done so many of these. And then as I'm scrolling through, I realized like how close to the end we are. Because I do it on BritBox, I just go next episode. I don't know what's coming next still. But scrolling through to find it, I was like, oh my gosh, we've done so much. And I don't think I'd really thought about how close to the end we are. But when you're trying to find the season, kind of does that.
Well, end of the classic, yeah.
Yeah, but I just like hadn't thought about it really.
We haven't got long to the end of the classic. It's going to go really quick.
Yeah. Well, I can tell, like, because I looked and I was like, we're on this, and I've got like maybe one more after it. The thought of finishing classics felt so far away. It felt like such a, oh, well, that's so far in the future. It's just, yeah, crazy. That's me having a little reminisce.
I forgot to do my intro. I'm going to do my intro.
Oh, you do your intro, Mark.
Well, there's nothing quite like tea and crumpets, is there? So it's Paradise Towers this week. Well, where to start? Because we were chatting to Lucas last week about Time in the Rani, the controversial opener to the 7th Doctor of season 24. Not many people particularly like that. You either like it or you hate it. I think same for this week as well, actually. Maybe for every story in this season. Because I wasn't particularly keen on it.
Okay.
And I'm still not sure where I am on it. I might like it a little bit better. It's definitely carrying on the same style as last week.
I'll be honest with you, Mark. I loved it.
Oh, no!
I was really nervous because, I mean, just for listeners, before we don't talk about like what we think. Well, unless I tell Mark something, but I haven't this week. I nearly messaged you this morning actually saying how much I was enjoying it. But we do say like how we watched it before we start like sometimes I'm like, oh, I've just finished it, or I've said that before, like I've just finished watching it. And I said, oh, I've just watched it all today. So my plan was to start watching it last night. That failed. So this morning, I was like, right, I'm going to have a bath. And I sit there in the bath and watch this episode for 20 minutes. And then I'll get up and get on with my day. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I nearly messaged you going how much I was enjoying it.
I nearly messaged you last night after episode 1 to say, oh my god, this is so boring.
That's so funny.
I don't know what it is. Well, there's lots of different groups of characters, so I thought maybe we could go through the different characters. And
I'll tell you, the moment I knew I was going to love it was when I met, because the first people you meet are the Kangs.
The Red Kangs, yeah.
Red Kangs. So you have this group of like young feminist fighters, and I was like, boom, I'm in it. Then when I really loved it is when we meet the first residents.
Oh, I knew it.
Right? But there is something just really fun and camp about it. It's a really camp episode.
I'm not sure if the writer intended it to be the kind of style that it came out, because I think it's supposed to be more of like a gritty, run-down, block of flats. It doesn't really come across that in the studio. It's still quite well lit. You've got the cleaning robots that are really slow and I don't think particularly menacing. It might not have been the writer's original intentions. I think it's a good script. I just think it's the direction and the execution that lets it down a bit.
Well, you say that. It does have it, which we'll get into. It does have its weaker moments, which I feel are script more than direction. But you might know more than me. Overall, I felt really comfortable with this Doctor.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's straight into it, isn't he? He's
It's
just.
his second story, and it felt like, and I don't know whether that's because we also have Mel, who we've had for a bit longer.
Well, I was going to say, I can't really imagine the Sixth Doctor being in this. The nearest one that it's like is a bit like the reality TV one. In
Yes.
terms, it's a little bit like that, but I think because of all that criticism, all the violence and things that we had with the Sixth Doctor, they're not really going in that direction now. It's what Vengeance on Varos would have been if it didn't have all that violence. And we've got a different script editor now. There's somebody else overseeing the stories. So maybe that's got a bit of an influence on
Because
it as
it
well.
feels like old Doctor Who. It reminds me a little bit of something that like the third Doctor would go on.
These characters and the way that it's filmed is a bit 60s.
It's really 60s. I mean, I almost went second Doctor, but I stopped myself. It feels that sort of time.
But the thing is that I have a problem with it, and it's when you meet the Red Kangs is when I was like, oh, here we go. It's just, I get what they're trying to do, but I think the acting, I think the way you've got the characters and the themes, it's all a bit GCSE drama.
Red Kangs! Red Kangs are best! Who's best? Red Kangs! Red Kangs! Red Kangs are best!
And very 80s as well. Have you seen Beaches?
No,
Have you not seen the film Beaches?
no.
Oh, I thought you might have. I watched it recently. It's a Bette Midler film.
Okay.
Okay, I can't do that comparison. Anyway, in Beaches, she's this actress and she gets a job in the 80s at this sort of arty theatre company, if anyone's seen it. And she does this sort of 80s art theatre piece. And that's what this reminded me of. I feel like it's a bit performance art.
Hydrogen fuel, it burns so clean, throbs in the veins of my beloved machine.
I don't know, just the way that they're acting, it's a bit cringy for me.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me a little bit of, but the female version, the teenagers.
Space Museum. Yeah, but I just feel the way that they're trying to do it, and I get why that it's written like that. But that's what I was going to say. It's very children's TV, but I suppose it's supposed to be.
It was supposed, and I guess as well, it's to give a real contrast to like the oldies, as they call them.
I know everyone's a bit cartoony, aren't they?
Everyone's
They're a bit.
so cartoony. I liked how straight away we were in something, like they meet them. He's trying to work out straight away and get on side. Sometimes you can have like half a story of them just trying to do that. But he was straight away in asking the questions about, oh, so who are you? What are you doing here? Blah, blah. Sometimes it's just like half a story of him like, I'm the Doctor and trust me. And like we've sort of moved beyond that. It felt quite fast paced. But what was quite, I agree, stilted dialogue, but it kind of worked for me. Maybe it's because it was so bright as well. Because it sort of had this like the graffiti and all the stuff and all that sort of stuff. That grunge with like a shine. Even the thing is, they're silver costumes. If you stuck a bit of Diamante on that, they could be out like at the Pride Parade. They're so like everything's just quite camp about it, and I quite enjoyed that.
And I suppose I can't really criticise it because I liked last week's, and people would say that about last week's, what I'm saying about this one. But there is a difference, I think, because last week I enjoyed that because you've got Kate Amara as the Rani. The actors were taking it seriously. They weren't cartoonified last week in Time of the Rani, although it's the same style. But this week, that I feel like the acting style is different, and I think that's what it is. There's not the gravitas of the acting like someone like Kate Amara or something like that. I think that's what it is for me. In terms of the production, it's the same style, but in terms of the direction and the way that it's performed, it's very different.
I can see that. For me, it just I don't know. I feel like they're trying to show that this Doctor it's a completely different show. We've gone back to what we know. We've gone back to what you like. It's a family thing. I feel like it's a lot of that, and sometimes that can grate on me for whatever reason. Maybe this morning I just woke up on the right side of the bed when I started watching it, but I was really not looking forward to it. I'll be honest. Like normally if I do this, if I'm in the bath watching a show, it's Modern Family or something like that. Like I just want something that I don't have to concentrate too much on while I'm waking up. And I can just sit there and wake up slowly. But I was like, I have to concentrate. And I really got into it. And I wasn't expecting to. and I laughed at things. And that doesn't always happen. Usually, sometimes I'm laughing for the wrong reasons, but this I was laughing along. And you're right, it was a lot like the TV one.
Maybe this is just your style of Doctor Who then. Maybe we found it finally. This is
Finally.
your right mix of everything.
It could be. Like last week's was an interesting one because, like I say, I felt very much in the middle. There's some things I really liked and some things I didn't like. I think I gave it a 5 or 6 out of 10. I think I gave it 6 out of 10. And, whereas this felt like an 8 out of 10.
My God.
The things that, aren't great don't matter as much to me. The robots are not great. But, they're just their feature is that they're not like a lead figure in it. Their role is to literally roll around every now and then bring out some weapon, and that's all they do. They're not like the brains behind it. They're not the only menacing figure. The issues are within themselves. I think as well, because you had the side story, the residents trying to eat Mel, hilarious. It's just so silly. It's just so stupid and silly, and they're so over the top. And I want to dress up like one for Halloween now.
Well, it might be I don't like this one as much because I didn't watch this as a child. I watched it a couple of times, maybe when I got it on video later on. I didn't see this until I was 18, 20, and I've only watched it once or twice on DVD before. So I don't have that connection with it. It might be that. But talking about the cleaning robots, so my sister-in-law, she doesn't like Doctor Who. She's doesn't want to watch it with the family on Christmas Day. It's not her thing at all. And she remembers this when she was young on TV, and she always says, oh yes, Sylvester McCoy and Bonnie Langford. And she always says, though cleaning robots terrified me as a child, and I never watched Doctor Who again. I mean, of all the things to terrify you as a child, the slowest moving... But, that's to show all these monsters affect somebody out there.
Each their own, yeah. Everyone's got their horror monster out there. For some, it's a cleaning robot.
Yeah, it's affected somebody. It's done its job, but they are very slow. I feel like they're those go-karts from Vengeance on Varos, just with a new cover on. They're the same thing again, aren't they? Should we go through different characters?
You're fussy on a robot.
Yeah, these just weren't with the guy that first gets caught. He's putting himself into the grabber. Yeah. They can't actually grab anybody. I think in the script and everything, I bet you read the script of it and you're like, wow, this sounds great and everything. It's just that production stuff that's just a bit... Let's talk about some of the characters, though, because we have got some great characters. Let's start with... Actually, can we start with Mel? Because current at the moment, news yesterday, Bonnie Langford has a Mel murder mystery book coming out.
Yes. We are going to read that. And we are going to review it.
That ticks all our boxes. How amazing.
Ticks every box. We love a murder mystery. Cannot make that more clear. Mark loves Doctor Who.
But Mel did great in Terror of the Vervoids in that murder mystery. This is perfect for Mel.
Yeah,
so, gosh,
yeah. It's a Doctor Who murder mystery, isn't it? Brilliant.
It's about Mel, written by Bonnie Langford. Amazing. But Mel here, let's start with Mel, because sometimes she's great, sometimes she's not. Again, is it the acting? Is it I think here it's the writing and the acting. Mel really wants to go to Paradise Towers to go swimming. For whatever reason, she is intent on finding a swimming pool.
Look, Doctor, look, there's the swimming pool. Right at the very top of the building. Oh, it's wonderful.
Of all the things.
Well, maybe she's a woman after my own heart. Maybe she just needs a bit of a spa day. Maybe, they've had a lot going on. They've had a trial. She's had a new doctor come along. She just needs a bit of a day off. She just wants a spa.
She's watching the video brochure of Paradise Towers. Did you ever have video brochures for stuff? Because they are a thing, like a VHS.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The only thing it reminds me of, I don't think I've had a video brochure, but I definitely remember, it reminds me of, when you're watching TV, especially daytime TV, and you get those really long advert breaks. the advert is about 3-4 minutes long, and they're usually selling something like a chair or a mattress or something like that, and it just doesn't end. You think, oh, this is quick, and much like this story, it goes on, and you're like, I feel like I've just watched a TV show. There used to be one that was cruises, like Norwegian cruises, and it literally just didn't end. It was whenever it came out, I'd always be like, because I just knew this advert was a good 4 minutes. Sometimes that would be the only, you'd have like the company, like, the channel's adverts, which is usually 2 or 3 at most, but 2. Then you'd have this advert. That would be the only advert. It would take the whole advert break. So it kind of reminded me of those.
This is what Paradise Towers would have, like a full advert break.
Oh, an advert break's worth of advert, yeah.
Because there was this woman that I worked with at the co-op for a bit, and she loved Madeira. She'd be like, oh, I always go with my family to Madeira, take my grandkids to Madeira. And she brought in
when you said Madeira, I thought Madeira cake.
Well, no, I always thought Madeira, because I remember I was putting out Madeira cake when she was talking about Madeira, so I had the connection. Oh, I absolutely love an iced Madeira cake. Oh,
I love Madeira cake, full stop, yeah.
Anyway,
you always have Madeira cake and next to it angel cake.
But she brought in the VHS Madeira, like, catalogue thing. I remember she brought it in. I was like, Madeira, and I remember talking to someone she went off to be like a nurse or something, because once in the bakery it went round and she was flat on her back in the bakery, and she had she had a bad shoulder or something, or a back, and so every now and then she had to go and lie down, and that was the only space. So she was just, I remember just coming around, she was flat out. Anyway, Madeira, she always talked about Madeira, and then I think someone whispered to me, was like, why don't she just go and like fuck off to Madeira then, if she loves it so much. Anyway, she brought in a VHS of Madeira.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it, no.
You might have also loved Madeira.
But anyway, I maybe she went to Madeira and never came back, but anyway.
I just need to get some water, but you could carry on and just carry on if you want.
Oh, well, I think we should follow, just continuing talking about Mel, follow Mel's journey to the pool, because, okay, she wants to go to Paradise Towers, she wants to go swimming, great. They get there, it's not what they expect, and stuff happens, they get separated.
Yeah.
But as soon as, and she meets Pex and all of that stuff, we'll talk about that, but she gets up to the top, even after she knows there's something weird going on in Paradise Towers, and there's a terrible, I'm sorry, this is Bonnie Langford's acting, there's a terrible moment where she's walking along with Pex, and nothing's really going on, they're just walking along the corridor, and she says in the most dramatic way, what's happening in Paradise Towers? And nothing is happening. Like, there's no reason for her to be, like, if there was an explosion and she's like, oh, what's happening in this place? But she says it in that way, but nothing is going on. She just says it in a very dramatic way for like a trailer or something. Anyway, she gets to the top, or she knows there is something weird going on.
Well, she gets to the top because she thinks that's where the doctor will be, because they set it up perfectly. If you're ever going to go away with someone where you always go off on these wacky adventures, say, right, when we get split up, because we know we will, we're going to meet at this place, okay? I'm not going to be looking for you. We're going to go there. Cool.
I mean, actually, even before we get there, she stops off and has tea and stuff with the Resi. She's like, oh, there's all this stuff going on. You know, we've been caught by the Kangs. There's stuff oh, but actually, I need to sit down and have a cup of tea and a cake. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I'll come back again and do that as well.
No,
and then
they
she,
take
like,
her in. She's
yeah,
like...
I know. But she's in a weird place. It's not what you expect. She's lost the doctor. She was tied up. And then she's like, oh, I just need to put my feet up for a bit. Like, and then when she gets to the pool, she's like, yeah, oh, this is so amazing. I just need to relax a little bit. It doesn't matter that I've lost the doctor and there's something weird going on in Paradise Towers. And like half the people are like,
what
dead.
is going on in Paradise Towers?
She then wants to go for a swim, she must have her swimming costume underneath that outfit, and then she's suddenly dry again afterward. I mean, I just feel like the pool is not your priority, Mel, but she just makes this whole thing her priority, that she needs to go swimming. Even when she's attacked, I mean, you'd think halfway through this story she'd be like, actually, I don't really need to go to the pool here. There's other stuff to prioritise. but she's written in such a one-dimensional, I need the pool.
I'll tell you what, the one thing I thought of, I mean, no, from what has been said by Pex, no one has gone to that pool. No one goes on that floor unless they're going to die, right? I don't know how long they've been. It must be what? It feels like I'd say the kids are kids when they come on, but they've got to have grown up in order to be like that. So it's got to be about 20 years, right? That they have been there. That pool was beautifully blue and clean. I mean, I get that no one's going to be there, but surely the pool would have gone green by now in some way. I mean, who's updating the chlorine in it?
Well, this is the weird, because you get this backstory. So everyone sort of went to war, or there was a war, and everyone was taken into this complex, and then the younger people and the older people had to stay there. And it's just, time has carried on, and people have forgotten where they've come from. It's one of those kind of stories.
Yeah.
But then the caretakers, are they in the same situation? So they must be looking after the pool and doing stuff. Surely, and they have what? Homes, and that's their job? Or does nobody ever think
they live at Paradise Towers.
But nobody ever thinks to go outside?
Where is it? I mean, the brochure makes it seem like it's on this planet.
Yeah.
But then they also talk about this planet being at war. I thought it was in air. I thought it was in space. So
I think it's just a tower block on a planet that maybe there's nothing else out there. But I don't know. There's a weird. It's a really good idea, but maybe it just doesn't 100% hold up if you start thinking about it in that way. But yeah, Mel going to the pool is not.
Oh, it's really random when she gets in.
And then I don't know if you were going to say this, but I thought of you saying this. When she gets out of the pool, her makeup is still fully intact. Her hair is back to normal. She just dries off and gets dressed again straight away, as if she's never been in the pool.
I know. I had a laugh about the monster in the pool that has never been seen before. There's no reference that like there are creatures like that in the water, like robots in the water. There's no reference after. It's just this one-off, of course. Also, it's fucking massive. The pool isn't that big. You'd surely see it. Where did it come from?
Yeah, they don't see it. Well, she's loving the water. She looks freezing cold, but she's saying it's beautiful.
If you're going to have
nice.
that, I want to see it like come out from a wall that we haven't seen or something. It sort of indicated that it was there the whole time. And I'm like, no offense, it's not like a bug, right? It's fucking huge. It's attacking her. How did they not see it in the water?
It's a great design and everything, though, to have like this thing in the water. But the thing is, it's a bit wasted because they don't even use it as a cliffhanger.
No.
That
bit is all really random. That said, there's sort of, for me watching it by this point, I'm so into like the campness of it all that, of course, that's what was happening. Like, I knew when she got in the water and she's like, get in, it's lovely. I was like, well, something's going to happen to you. Something's going to come. You wouldn't get in that water. You'd be like, where's the doctor? Right, we're going to sit here and wait. We said we'd both come here. But she's like, oh, I'll get in the pool. Like, there is no, like you said, there's no need for it. But by that point, I'm so loving the campness of it and the ridiculousness that, yeah, I'm like, of course, you're going to get in the pool and something will get you. But I'm all for it. I
just feel let down by Mel. And she's paired off with Pex, which is quite good. Again, Mel's having a bit of she was paired off with, what's his name, Icona last week, and Pex this week.
Again, it's interesting that you say 60s, because when I was watching it, I was like, we're back to the companion being paired off with the only man of a similar age on the planet.
And I like the dynamic between them, when they're all in the lift and everything. But again, I just feel like if Bonnie Langford just take down the tone a little bit, and be a bit more less theatrical about it. She's still the most heightened character out of all of these characters, and there's a lot of heightened characters in this.
I didn't think she was too heightened when she was having the tea.
You are joking, aren't you? Tabby, we don't see this as a matter for humour, Melvia. We mean every word.
I mean, but she's very nice. She's written so naive, though.
I felt it was more like I just thought she was really polite, and she sees these older women, and she's like, "Oh, I've got to be nice and have." Because from what I'm trying to remember, how they like open the door and she's running, and they're like, "Come in here," and so she goes in. It's literally that, And then they're like, oh dear, oh, what's your name? Oh, and then she's probably just come from a traumatic thing. I mean, we've talked about Trauma Watch with what's her name before. She's just come from a traumatic thing. She's got out, she's run around, escaped, and then these older women, she probably thinks, oh, I recognize we are the same sort of thing. Their home looks like a normal home, all this, and they're like, do you want a cup of tea? And you're like, yeah, I do.
But stranger danger.
Oh, for sure. We don't.
But I don't know. I just feel. I don't think. I mean, you can't imagine. Say if this was Barbara going in there, she'd still be a little bit cautious. She'd still say, you know,
But
Barbara
Susan
went into that.
wouldn't.
But then Susan would be like, "Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, look at all these cakes and things." She's written very Susan rather than Barbara, and I feel like Mel is a bit older and should be more the Barbara type. That's all. She can still be enthusiastic and polite. I don't know, she's just gone very Susan-fied just in this particular story. I feel that it was just a bit, and that cake that they give her, and they put all that cream on top and stuff.
She's not worried because she was going to a spa. She was going to have like a day off, cheat day.
She just wants a spa. She just wants tea, cake, the pool. She's so desperate for it. She'll go
Mark,
into
we've all been
strangers'
there in
house.
life. Some days you just think, I need a spa. I need a day of treat and spa.
Okay, let's talk about the Resies then, because we've got,
yes.
oh my god. Well, there's 3 of them, isn't there? I mean,
Well, there's
amazing.
more than 3, but yes.
Well, yeah, but we see the 3. I mean, did you think they were going to try to eat Mel to begin with? Do you think there was a suspicion?
I mean, I thought, because it sort of hinted at like, oh, does she look plump and all that sort of stuff. And then after it didn't happen, or nothing sort of indicated that first time, I was like, oh, maybe that's just all sort of like a fun ploy, and then something will come up and they're going, we're not going to eat you. What you want about? Where have you got that from? But then also, it was so ridiculous of a story, like, oh, and then there's these older residents on the ship, and oh yeah, 2 of them eat people. Like, it's so ridiculous that I was kind of all for it, and I loved the actresses doing the way it was done. I loved.
Yeah, they do it really well. It's very, again, theatrical, over the top.
It reminded me a bit of Keeping Up Appearances.
Well, one of them is, what's her name from Keeping Up
Is
Appearances?
it? I didn't even, do you know what? I knew I recognised their faces, but I didn't really clock it. I just thought, I recognise their faces, but older.
The one that's alive is the sister. The one that stays alive at the end is the sister. And the other 2, I'm sure they've been in a Miss Marple and you'll find them in one of those.
Yeah, they've those sorts of faces, but I just couldn't think what it was that they've been.
Yeah, they've done a lot. Yeah, they're very, again, almost that celebrity casting as well, because they would have been well known at that time.
They are great parts as well. Like, right, you're going to be an older lady and you're going to eat Mel. It's brilliant.
But then their death as well is very comical. The way that they get, like,
oh yeah,
you know, again,
their whole time is brilliant. It's short-lived and sweet. It's exactly what you want if you have a guest role.
Because they're not. But the thing is, there's so many characters actually that for a 4-part, you can cut between. You've got, you know, a Mel going back and forth to them. I mean, for about 3. Well, actually, more than 3.5 episodes, Mel is just running around trying to get to the pool. But it doesn't feel like that because she meets so many different people and things happen to her on the way. I wasn't bored by it. I wasn't bored. But I wasn't 100% invested in what was going on. Because the story, it's this Croagnon is the architect. And he's that voice thing in the basement.
Now, interesting, I didn't think he was the architect until just before he became the architect.
Well, they think the doctor's the architect, don't they?
Well, I just thought that they were like, you're someone noble, you must be the architect of this place, and look at the mess that we're in. I just thought of it as like, you built this place, and the reason we're going to kill you is because look at, like, we're in charge, look at the mess that this place is, and you built it. And he's mistaken for things all the time, so I didn't think more into it. And then the thing in the basement, I thought, oh, that's the thing that's actually doing it. I didn't think that was going to be the architect. I thought it was going to be some, like, maybe Monster of the Week or some sort of, like, you know, where actually when it's uncovered, not the master, but again, that sort of idea. It's something we've seen before, maybe, and it comes out, it's like the Yeti or something like that, you know, and they're actually in charge. I wasn't expecting it to be the story it was.
But then you've got the chief caretaker has been talking to the thing in the basement and has been sending him people, but then independently it's been sending out the clean and like killing extra people and stuff. So that's been going on. What I didn't get was why Coragnon, who was an architect who did loads of other stuff, wanted to kill people. Because then this is his...
I kind of got that, because the doctor says, like, he built something and then he made it so perfect he didn't want anyone to live there.
Oh, I see.
So then they managed to get rid of him, but obviously the universe is big, so he's built this thing. He goes and builds this paradise place. But then they learn that that's what he does, so they lock him up before it's completed so that he doesn't go crazy and go, this is so perfect, but no one else can live here. So that's why, because he's like, you've ruined my perfect vision.
So everyone locked him in there. They all went off to war and left the kids and the old people there, and then it's all run down, and then he's grown. And
I wasn't sure if another generation of people locked him in there, like other residents. I don't know. I just wasn't sure who it was exactly that had locked who in.
I don't like
really if it's people from the ship that have done it, and that was their plan to like, all right, well, we're going to shove him in there. He's out the way, and it hasn't been completed, but we'll complete it now. But he can't just take over.
What do you think of the chief caretaker? Because then this is where, again, criticism, fans like he's playing it way over the top. He's really silly. This is not... I mean, they sound like me going, this is not the Doctor Who. It should be more serious and gritty and all of this stuff.
But I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed how camp it was. He played it quite serious, and then when he's like, oh, my pet, I don't know, I found it all quite silly. What I struggled more with was when he became, what's his name? Klingon or whatever he is.
When he in the last episode, that over the top, that's the...
But for me, it was more the stiltiness of it. I think it would have been funner if he'd literally been the appearances of somebody saying these crazy things, and they're like, what? But he almost felt like, oh, now I'm doing it like a completely... That said, he looked familiar as a face.
Well, that's Richard Briers.
That's why, yeah.
Again, this is where the whole 80s theatrical drama-ness of it, because they've put him in, they've made it really obvious, they've made him look like a sort of Hitler character.
Yeah, the costumes are insane.
It's just, I don't know, I can see a version of this where it's not like that. It's more toned down, and it's more darker, and it's more played for a serious, and it would still be a very effective script. It's just that extra panto element that... All the caretaker stuff was the least interesting to me. All the rule book stuff and everything, which I get what they're trying to do, but I don't know. I think you either really just buy into it and you go like you did, or I just see this cringiness that I'm just like, because they wouldn't do that in the 60s. You would have I know you said about panto villains in the 60s, but you would have an actor in the 60s taking that seriously and being that maybe more of the dickhead captain type, and then when he's taken over, be really scary and creepy and powerful. But I don't think you would have even this style when the 70s when they were being silly.
The reason it worked for me is every part of it played that way.
Yeah, everyone's in on that.
So everyone's like, this is how we're doing it, and that. So Mel, even the Doctor to some extent. The one thing for me, like I say, if I'm having little criticisms, was how he escaped by literally telling them to take 5 steps forward. All that, for me, was a bit of a cop-out. Part of the fun is working out, is getting to see how the Doctor cleverly does something, and instead he literally talks them into.
But I suppose that part is you're just taking the piss out of the bureaucracy of it all and everything, which is... that's the Doctor's clever way of getting out of it, I suppose.
It just went on. I mean, it went over 2 scenes.
So are you liking this Doctor then?
Yeah.
Did you think he would be like this?
No. I don't know what I was expecting. Well, one, I wasn't expecting it, so there's that. I wasn't expecting this. I've really enjoyed it. It feels like, sort of like I said, it feels very familiar and a refresh. I really wasn't looking forward to this, and then I ended up really enjoying it.
I like the moments where he's getting, the drinks machine and stuff with the Kangs, and he's having that time with them, and he's trying to get... and at the end of the day, it's about all these different groups of people sort of working together in the building to defeat it, The Kang stuff went on a bit too much for me, all this... with the greeting and everything, I feel, I don't know.
But again, I think it's... Because we had a red and a blue, I think that's why it can feel a bit like... But I didn't even think of them in the same way. For me, it worked. I was surprised it worked. Trust me, no one's ever more surprised than me when I enjoy something.
What about Pex?
Well, Pex is an interesting one in a lot of ways.
Is he going to be up for like a good supporting character, or
He's probably going to be up for a hero moment.
he's got a bit of a story arc, hasn't he?
He has nice moments with Mel. That's maybe where a lot of it would end for me. Was it a surprise that he killed himself at the end? Absolutely not. The whole story is built up to the fact that he's been a coward and he's going to do something brave. I did like him when he was on the screen. It wasn't like, oh, this guy again. I thought actually initially, because he was so over the top macho, I thought it was going to be a robot, and they created like as in a robot that had been created. And I thought, oh, it's just like that's how he's created to be, to sort of give an impression of being a hero. I thought it was like maybe something to help stimulate people in the place, giving different, and he's just one of them. So I was quite surprised at that.
Yeah, it's just when he jumps through. I mean, he's defeated by Pex pushes the caretaker architect just through the lift shaft and it blows up. I feel like it was a bit of a cop-out ending. That was the only thing.
Yeah, well, again, it felt like it could have been done a bit better. And we could have maybe had more of a back and see him. I don't know. You sort of see it come in, you don't. Yeah. I still really enjoyed it though, Mark.
I am stunned, actually. Well, no, I'm not. I'd like to like it more, but I don't know. There's just something about it. There was just... But, I mean, the next one, though, I really like. And again, it's in the same... This whole season is all like this. It's probably even worse than this. So I'm going to be such a hypocrite in liking last week's and then liking next week's. But this one, I think a lot of it is to do with... Well, the script editor, he inherited that last script, so he had nothing to do with that. It was already commissioned when he came in. And the script editor, I have to say, Andrew Cartmel, he's written a book, right? He wrote a book called Script Doctor about his time on working on the Sylvester McCoy stories and becoming on, and he's all of, it's like his diary sort of thing and everything, which I wasn't particularly interested in. And he was at a convention and he's got his table and all his books and everything. And I walked past, just having a look at all the merchandise and stuff. And he was like, hi, and I was like, hi, and he's like, what's your name? I was like, Mark. He's like, hi, Mark, good to meet you. And then he got a book and wrote, to Mark, and he's like, there you go, that's £14, please, for your book. And I was like, I didn't really want your book, but I now have to buy it. He's very good at doing that. And that's when I first met him, so I was like, great, I've got this book now. And I read like the first chapter and didn't really read it. And then I saw him again at a convention, and again Did he say what's your name and you went, not this trick again? Yeah, no, he had some other books. He doesn't just do Doctor Who books. He does like lots of other things. And he gave me like a postcard, Time in the Rani. There's a picture of him in a tet trap, and he signed it. And then I was like, oh, I've got your book, and I said I read it and I hadn't read it all. And he was like, oh, great, come and have a chat. And he asked me to sit behind the table with him. And I didn't really want to, because I was going along meeting other people, like Leela and Adric were there and stuff. And so I sat in this corner next to him, and then he just sort of ignored me and was just talking, carrying on silent. I was thinking, I don't really want to sit here next to you.
Oh my
God, I felt like really cornered. And I was like...
That is a situation only you would end up in. I'd have been like, oh, I'll come back and talk to you. Thank you. And if he doesn't, then I'm like, well, I've not lost anything.
But then he was like, oh, hi, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, I'm not really interested in talking to you. And now I'm stuck here. And I have my bag and my stuff. And I was like, how do I get out of this? Anyway, I said, oh, you had lots of problems on Time in the Rani, didn't you? With all the scripted, and all of that. And he was like, yes, I did, yeah. And I think I asked him another question. I was like, oh, well, I think I need to go now. And sort of like slipped away. But I know that's how I think of Andrew Cartmel now.
Those two appearances. Just sort of
cornering me. Yeah. I mean, he's lovely, but it was just a bit, I was like, oh, why am I in this situation? But if I thought about it, I could have asked him about Paradise Towers, but I didn't think about that. That's this new script editor, but he's taking things in a different direction, for sure. Okay, well, I'm very glad that we're up to this point. It's very fortuitous, actually. I think we should start watching this one together. Because everybody... Well, we would have gone. We're going to a convention in Barry
Maybe we'll put something on Twitter.
We should put something out there, yeah. But we would have, by the time this comes out, we would have been. But this next story was filmed in Barry. So we
Really?
should definitely watch. And this is a really good fun one.
Oh, let's do that Friday night then.
So we should watch this one together with a takeaway, I think.
Yeah, we'll do it on Friday
really
night
good.
with takeaway.
Yeah, it would be really good fun to do.
I'm guessing you haven't messaged about those tickets for...
No, I haven't. I was going to message and just say, well, I mean...
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let's do that instead. We'll do this on Friday
Well, I was going
night.
to say, well, we could do it all Saturday. We've got Saturday night as well, haven't we? So...
True.
True. If we don't, I'll see about Friday night. Sorry, I'm not keeping this in.
I want to keep this in. I think it's hilarious. Me and Mark planning our life.
No, we'll
No,
see.
I was going to say we do it Friday because you'll go. But we can just order a takeaway and do that because you'll have been working the day and then travelling.
So the next story is 3 episodes, and
3.
yeah, we've got 4s and 3s. Yeah,
Oh, I can't think of the last time we've had a 3.
have we ever had a 3?
Have we ever? I know we've had 2s.
Have we ever had? Oh, well, the 2 Doctors was 3 45-minute episodes.
Oh, that's true.
But I think that's the only 3 we've had. Now everyone's going to get in touch and be like, actually. But no, I don't think we've had 3, because 3 is, it's not the usual. But again, I think this is BBC, like, budget cuts, cut down the episodes. So, 3, and it's called Delta and the Bannermen.
Okay, and it's filmed in Barry.
And it was filmed in Barry as well.
So, okay, right.
And I mean, next week, I was going to say, I love this one. Again, very divisive. But if you liked this week's, I think you'll like next week's. I think you just like all of this style.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Sorry everyone that I wasn't as enthusiastic about Paradise Towers, but this is the most I've enjoyed it, doing episode by episode. I think it is just that I haven't watched it that much, and there's other stories that I like more, I think. It's very 80s. Still very,
It
very
is.
80s. Even like the
It
cat,
is.
like the cat, like the hair, their wigs, they've got the blue and red wigs and stuff.
I know.
It's just so.
Oh, do you
80s.
know what? I kept thinking, like, where are they getting their hair dye from? To be a Kang, but to be a red, no one's like got that red or blue hair. So where are they getting their hair dye from to be red and blue Kangs?
And I should have looked up what the name Kang is, because you've got, like, they're called like Fire Escape and Bin Liner and stuff. Maybe Kang is from some sort of thing, but
Someone will tell us, I'm sure.
yeah, someone will tell us. And also, if you love the Kangs so much, there is a whole comic strip series about the Kangs that is out now. You can get, you name it, these Doctor Who characters have their own huge lives. So the Kang, there's a whole comic strip graphic novel series set in Paradise Towers with the Kangs and
gosh.
everything.
I kind of want to like read that.
Well, maybe we should look that up. But everyone's got their own spin-off. Every single character's got their own spin-off. I've not tried that, but anyway, we will see you all very soon for the 3rd story of the season, Delta and the Bannermen. And in the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 2WatchWho, and you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/2WatchWho. Bye.
Bye.
To watch who?